The war was over. The alien palace stood in ruins, broken walls glowing with smoke and fire. Soldiers walked through the rubble, searching for survivors and loot. Among them was a human soldier named Marcus. Tired, bruised, and silent. He had fought for months without rest, seen friends die and enemies fall. Now, he walked alone into the deepest chamber of the palace. He expected gold, maybe weapons, or nothing at all. But what he found changed everything. She sat on the cold stone floor, chained to the wall by her wrists and ankles. She didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't beg. Her skin was pale blue, her face bruised, yet her eyes were silver like shining metal. And they stared right into him, not with fear, but with something strange. Calm and quiet, she looked like royalty. But something was off. No guards, no servants, no protection, just her, waiting. Marcus raised his gun, unsure. "Who are you?" he asked. She didn't speak, only tilted her head. The chain around her neck clinked gently. A small tag hung from it, written in alien letters. The translator on his wrist clicked and buzzed, then gave the meaning. "Royal cargo, handle with caution." Another soldier entered behind him, laughed when he saw the girl. "You want a reward, Marcus? Take her, she's royal," the man joked. "War spoil, right? No one will stop you now." Marcus frowned. Looking at her again, war had ended, yes, and soldiers were allowed to take rewards. But something about this girl didn't feel right. Still, something pulled him toward her. He dropped his gun and stepped closer. She didn't move, didn't blink. "Do you understand me?" he asked softly. Her silver eyes watched him closely. Then she gave the smallest nod. He unlocked her chain slowly. Careful not to hurt her, she stood, weak but tall. Still silent, still watching. He wrapped a soldier's cloak around her shoulders and led her outside. The others stared, some laughed, some looked away. Marcus took her to his ship, ignoring the whispers. She never asked where they were going, never thanked him. She simply followed, like she knew this was how it must be on the ship. Marcus gave her a small room with food and water. She sat on the bed but didn't touch anything. She didn't eat, didn't drink, just stared out the small window into space. Every few hours Marcus checked on her. Still no words, no movement. Only those strange silver eyes. They didn't look scared. They looked like they were waiting for something, but what? The crew began to talk. "She's cursed," one said. "She's a weapon, not a princess," said another. "Don't you feel it? The air is colder when she walks by." Marcus heard it all but said nothing. He kept watching her, trying to understand. She was like a puzzle with no pieces. One night alarms went off. Doors unlocked themselves, lights flickered. Strange symbols appeared on control screens. "System error," the AI said, confused. But the engineers couldn't find the cause. Marcus went straight to her room, heart pounding. She was standing now, staring at him as if she had expected him to come. He asked, "Did you do this?" She smiled softly, the first expression on her face since the palace. Then she whispered in a voice like wind, "You shouldn't have taken me, soldier." Marcus stepped back, confused. "What are you?" he asked. She walked closer, eyes glowing like stars. "You took me from my prison," she said, "but I wasn't the only thing locked inside." And with that, she pointed toward the ship's walls. A low, distant sound echoed, a scrape. Like claws on metal, something else was now awake. Marcus ran to the command deck. The ship's radar showed something strange. A shape moving between the walls. Fast, shifting, almost alive. And all power dropped to zero. Only her room stayed lit. Only her eyes still shined. And for the first time since the war ended, Marcus felt fear. The warship drifted in deep space. Surrounded by black silence, every system flickered. Lights went off and on like dying stars. Marcus sat in the command chair, staring at the radar that now showed nothing. The unknown signal that had crawled inside the walls was gone. But the fear in every soldier's eyes stayed. The crew whispered in the corners. They said the alien girl was bad luck, that she brought something dark with her. Marcus tried to silence them, but even he could not stop thinking about her words. "You shouldn't have taken me, soldier," she had said. Now those words kept repeating in his head like an echo that never ended. He went to her room again. The girl sat quietly on the bed, her hands folded on her lap. The light above her glowed weakly, turning her silver eyes into mirrors. A tray of untouched food sat on the table beside her. It had been there for 2 days. She hadn't eaten a single bite. "Why aren't you eating?" Marcus asked, tired. "You'll die if you don't." She looked up, calm and still, and said softly, I don't need human food. Her voice was calm. Beautiful, but it carried something heavy behind it. Something that made Marcus feel cold inside. He frowned. You mean you don't trust it? He asked. I mean it's not for me, she replied. Then she smiled, and that smile froze him where he stood. It wasn't cruel or kind, it was knowing, like she saw something he couldn't. That night, one of the engineers vanished. The ship's cameras glitched just before it happened. Only a dark blur flashed past the corridor before the feed cut out. When the image returned, the corridor was empty. Just one small mark remained on the wall, 3 long claw lines. Deep and curved, Marcus ordered a full search, but they found nothing. The crew began to panic. Rumors spread faster than sound. She's controlling something. She's calling it. She's not a prisoner, she's a signal. Marcus shouted at them to stop, but doubt had already entered his mind. Was she really a victim or part of something bigger? When he visited her again, she was still sitting in silence. The untouched food was replaced, yet she hadn't moved. You need to tell me what's happening, he demanded. She tilted her head slightly. Would you believe me if I did? She asked. Try me, Marcus replied. She looked toward the window, where endless space stretched into forever. In my world, she began, we believed we were the strongest, the perfect creation. We tried to make something greater than ourselves. It had no body, no name, only hunger. We locked it away beneath the palace, but when your people attacked, you broke the seal. Marcus's heart raced. So it followed us? She nodded slowly. It followed me. Before Marcus could reply, the lights went red. The alarm screamed through the halls. Engine failure! Lower deck sealed! The computer shouted. Marcus ran out of her room. Smoke filled the corridor. The air smelled of burning metal. The crew ran in every direction, shouting. When Marcus reached the engineering deck, he froze. On the wall, drawn with black liquid, was a symbol. The same strange marks from the palace ruins, and under it, another set of claw marks. Fresh and dripping, he called the security team. But as they entered, the lights went out again. Only the faint sound of something moving echoed through the dark. Slow, scraping, dragging. One soldier fired his weapon blindly. The flash lit the corridor for a second. In that second, Marcus saw something tall and shifting, like a shadow with eyes, then silence when the lights came back. The creature was gone, but one more soldier was missing. Marcus returned to the alien girl, angry and afraid. What is it? He shouted. What do you know? She looked at him, eyes calm. It doesn't come for you, she said softly. It comes for fear. And right now your ship is full of it. Marcus clenched his fists. He didn't want to believe her, but he couldn't deny what he'd seen. Then help me stop it, he said. I can't, she whispered. Why not? Because it's part of me, she said, her voice trembling for the first time. It was made from my blood. Marcus stepped back, shocked. You mean you created it? I was created with it, she replied. Half of me was royal, half was weapon. When you freed me, you freed it too. She looked up at him with those silver eyes again. But there is still one way to stop it. How? Marcus asked, desperate. She smiled again, the same cold, knowing smile. You'll have to trust me, she said. But trust comes with a price. Her words echoed in his mind long after he left the room. Outside, the stars burned quietly, and deep in the ship's metal belly, something scratched again, closer, hungrier, waiting. The ship floated in darkness, engines silent. The crew barely spoke anymore, their voices low and full of fear. No one slept properly, no one ate, and even the air felt heavy. It was as if the ship itself was holding its breath. Waiting for something, Marcus sat in the control room, staring at the flickering screens. Static hissed through the speakers. Whispering like ghosts, he checked every system, every vent, every camera feed. But the more he searched, the more he felt it, the sense that they were not alone. From the corner of his eye, he sometimes saw movement, a shadow that slipped away when he turned his head. Once he swore he heard breathing behind him, but when he spun around there was nothing, only cold metal and the sound of his heart. The alien girl, the princess, remained calm. She sat in her room quietly, never showing fear, never raising her voice. Marcus wondered if she even cared that people were disappearing. He wanted to believe she was innocent, but deep down he wasn't sure anymore. When the ship's doctor vanished, panic exploded. The crew demanded answers, shouting, blaming, fighting. Some wanted to throw the girl out into space. They said it was her fault, her curse, her monster. Marcus stood between them and her door. His rifle raised. "No one touches her," he said. The soldiers glared at him, but his voice was steady. "If we start killing our own? We've already lost." That night Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat outside her door, rifle across his lap. The corridor was dark except for a faint red light blinking from the wall. Every few minutes he heard it, a faint scratching sound inside the walls. Slow, careful, moving closer. He pressed his ear to the cold metal. The sound stopped. Then from behind him a whisper. "Marcus." He turned fast, aiming his gun. But the hallway was empty. The next morning, 2 soldiers were missing. Their weapons were found on the floor, melted like wax. The only clue was a strange smell in the air, like burnt flesh and cold air mixed together. Marcus went to the princess again, anger in his eyes. "What is it doing?" he shouted. "You said it comes for fear, but it's killing everyone." She looked up at him, her voice soft. "It doesn't kill to feed," she said. "It kills to become," Marcus frowned, confused. "To become what?" "More," she said. "It grows with every soul it touches." "Then why are you so calm?" he asked. She met his eyes, silver flashing in the dim light. "Because it already touched me," she whispered. Marcus stepped back slowly. "Are you saying you're connected to it?" "Yes," she said. "When you freed me, you didn't just release a prisoner, you broke a bond. It's searching for me, trying to finish what was started. And when it finds you?" Marcus asked, his voice shaking. She looked down. "It will stop looking." Suddenly the lights went out again. Red emergency alarms flared through the corridors. A scream echoed over the intercom. Then static. Marcus grabbed his rifle and ran. He reached the lower maintenance deck where the scream had come from. There in the flashing red light he saw it. The wall itself was moving, metal bending, rippling like liquid, and from it, a dark figure stepped out, tall, thin, its shape never still. Its face was wrong. Parts of different faces shifting over each other. Marcus fired, but the bullets passed through like smoke. The thing turned toward him, its voice a mix of all the missing crew. "Marcus," it whispered. He fell back, firing again, but nothing worked. Then suddenly the creature stopped. Its head tilted as if listening to something. Then it vanished, melting back into the wall. Leaving only silence, Marcus ran to the command deck. Breathing hard, the crew was terrified, weapons shaking in their hands. "It's inside the ship," Marcus said. "Inside the walls." The radio crackled suddenly. A voice cutting through. It was her, the princess, calm as ever. "You can't fight it with weapons," she said. "Then how?" Marcus shouted. "With truth," she replied. "What truth?" "The one hidden inside you." Her words made no sense. Yet Marcus felt a strange pull in his chest. The air grew colder, lights flickered again, then, in the reflection of the glass window, Marcus saw it. Standing right behind him, its shape now more human, its face almost his. He turned slowly, staring at it. It smiled, showing teeth made of light and shadow, and it spoke in his own voice. "You and I are the same," Marcus screamed and fired again. The creature vanished. He dropped to his knees, shaking. He didn't know if he was still himself anymore. From the speaker above, her voice came again, calm and final. "It's learning from you now," she said. "And soon, it won't need me anymore." The ship was dying. Power levels dropped every hour. Corridors flickered like candles, and oxygen filters failed one by one. Half of the crew were missing, and those who remained hardly spoke anymore. They avoided the walls, walked in groups, and never looked at reflections, because sometimes when they did, they saw someone else staring back. Marcus hadn't slept for days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the creature, his own face smiling back at him. He sat in the control chair, pale and exhausted, hands shaking over the console. The princess's voice still echoed in his mind. "It's learning from you," she had said. That thought scared him more than any weapon. He opened the logs, checking escape pod records. 2 pods had already been used, both unauthorized, both empty when found drifting later. The 3rd pod still showed a faint life signal, flickering in and out like a heartbeat. Marcus stared at the reading. "Someone's inside," he whispered. He called 2 soldiers and went to the lower deck. The hallway was cold, covered in a thin layer of frost. The metal walls groaned softly, like something breathing behind them. They reached the escape bay. Doors sealed with ice. Marcus overrode the lock, and the heavy door slid open with a hiss. Inside, the pod waited, dark, silent, half-buried in shadows. A red light blinked slowly on its panel, the heartbeat signal still active. Marcus stepped closer, his rifle aimed. "Open it," he ordered. The soldier beside him pressed the control, and the hatch opened with a metallic sigh. At first, Marcus thought it was a corpse. A man sat inside, body covered in burns, breathing shallow and weak. But when the man lifted his head, Marcus froze. Because the face he saw was his own. The soldier stepped back, horrified. Marcus raised his gun but didn't fire. The burned man inside the pod spoke weakly, voice rough and broken. "Don't trust her," he whispered. Marcus blinked, heart pounding. "Who are you?" "I'm you," the man said, coughing blood. "From before." "It found me." The soldiers panicked. One ran out of the room. Marcus stared, confused and terrified. The copy continued. She's not what you think, Marcus. She's the reason it lives." Marcus shook his head. "No, you're lying," he said. But the man's eyes were filled with pain, not madness. "You think you rescued her," he said, "but you only moved the cage." Suddenly, the lights flickered again and the burned man screamed. His body twisted violently, bones cracking, skin melting like wax. Marcus pulled back, shouting for help. But the thing inside the pod wasn't a man anymore. It stretched upward, its skin turning to black mist, its mouth opening far too wide. The soldiers fired, but the bullets only passed through. The creature grabbed one of them, pulling him into the pod, and the hatch slammed shut again. Marcus hit the control to eject the pod. The chamber shook as the pod launched into space. Vanishing into the black void, silence followed. Only the sound of his ragged breathing remained. He dropped his weapon and stared at the empty launch bay. He didn't know if he'd saved them or doomed them all. He ran to the princess's room. She was standing near the window, staring at the stars. Her silver eyes reflected the darkness like mirrors. "What did you do?" Marcus shouted. She turned slowly, her voice soft and calm. "You opened the pod." "Yes." "Someone was inside. It was me," he said. She nodded once, as if she expected that. "Then the circle has begun," she whispered. Marcus grabbed her shoulders. "Stop talking in riddles," he yelled. "Tell me what's happening." Her calm finally cracked, her voice trembled. "You were never supposed to exist," she said. "When the war began, we created weapons that could copy souls, memories, bodies. You humans call it cloning. But we went further. We tied them to the creature. It could take your shape because it already had your pattern." Marcus's heart stopped for a moment. "You mean I was one of them?" "You were the first," she whispered. "The real Marcus died on the battlefield. The thing that returned home." "Was you?" He stumbled back, shaking his head. "No, that's not true," he said. But she stepped closer, touching his face gently. "Your memories, your pain, even your kindness, they were copied. But your soul, Marcus, your real soul still calls to it." He fell to his knees. Everything inside him twisted. Memories of childhood, war, friendship, all of it felt wrong now. "Like shadows pretending to be real," he whispered. "Then what am I?" "You are the bridge," she said. "The creature can't survive without you, but it also can't destroy you. That's why it copies you. It's trying to become whole again." Before he could answer, the ship's alarm blared again. A massive energy surge came from deep space. Marcus turned to the monitor. The ejected pod was coming back. It wasn't drifting, it was moving fast directly toward them, and behind it something huge followed. A shape of pure darkness spreading across the stars. The princess looked at him one last time. "Now you understand," she said softly. "It was never a prisoner. Marcus, it was waiting for you." The ship trembled violently as the pod struck the hull, and from the impact point, black mist began to spread, crawling like veins of night across the metal. The crew screamed, the lights exploded, and the ship fell into silence once more. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the spreading shadow, and deep inside it, two glowing silver eyes opened, staring right back at him. The ship was falling apart. Panels cracked, metal groaned, and black mist poured from every vent and crack like smoke from a dying star. Marcus stood frozen, watching the strange shadow stretch along the walls like living oil, and inside the mist something watched him back. The creature had returned, stronger, faster, angrier, and this time, it didn't need to hide in the walls. It walked openly now, its shape no longer shifting. It had a face, his face. Marcus raised his weapon, his hands shaking. The clone smiled, the same smile he had seen in mirrors. "You're not real," Marcus growled. "I am what you were meant to be," the clone replied. Its voice was soft but filled with power, like thunder whispering in a storm. "You are a broken copy, Marcus," it continued, stepping closer. "But I am the perfect version," Marcus fired, but the bullets passed through like wind through smoke. The creature didn't flinch, didn't slow down. It reached for him with fingers that stretched like wires, then suddenly, a bright light flashed. Pure white energy exploded between them. The creature screamed, vanishing into mist again. Marcus turned and saw her, standing at the hallway entrance, the alien princess, her hands glowing with symbols that floated in the air like fireflies. He stared at her wide-eyed. "What was that?" he asked. She didn't answer. Not right away. She stepped toward him, her face unreadable. "I used my name," she said quietly. Marcus blinked, confused. "Your name?" She nodded. "In my world, names are more than sound. They are power, memory, identity, and my real name was sealed when I was made." The ship shook again, lights exploding above them. "You have to tell me what's going on," Marcus said. Desperate, she looked him in the eyes, silver glowing like twin stars. "You weren't the only one created, Marcus," she said. "I was part of the same program, only I wasn't a weapon. I was the key." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "All this time, you knew what that thing was." She nodded slowly. "I didn't lie," she said, "but I didn't tell you everything. When your people attacked the palace, they triggered the final lock. That creature was the guardian and the punishment, and I was made to end it." He stepped back. "Then end it now," he said. She lowered her eyes. "I can't, not fully, not without you." "Why me?" "Because you and it are linked," she said. "And I am linked to you. The code that makes us all me, you. It was written from the same beginning." Marcus stared at her as the ship groaned again. Dark mist filled the far hallways, swallowing metal and light. The crew was falling one by one, their screams fading. He whispered, "Then what do we do?" She looked at him, stepped closer, and reached out her hand. "I must say my real name again, but through you." "Why me?" "Because only your voice can carry the code that breaks the connection. If I speak it alone, it will kill me. But if you speak it, it will break the creature's link to this world." Marcus hesitated. "What if it breaks something else too?" "It will," she whispered. "It will break the part of you that isn't truly you. The part that connects you to it. And after that?" She gave a soft smile, a sad one. "Then you will finally be free." Marcus nodded slowly. "Tell me your name." She stepped even closer, placed her hand gently on his chest. The air shimmered, and she whispered something. It wasn't a word, it was a sound, a pulse, a vibration that echoed through his bones. Marcus felt his mind twist, his heart race. Images flashed in his head, her as a child, floating in a white room, surrounded by machines, him or someone like him, standing with soldiers in armor. The creature, born in a lab, growing like a shadow under the ground, and finally, a moment, his own face looking into hers. The day the war began, he opened his mouth, and the sound came out, her name, real and raw, carved into light and air. The ship trembled violently. Lights turned white, the walls shook, the mist screamed, a high, sharp cry that pierced through every deck. The clone fell to its knees, its face breaking apart. "No," it cried, "we are one. You were never me," Marcus said. The energy exploded outward, pushing the mist back. The creature shrieked and shattered like glass, dissolving into sparks and silence. And then, silence, real silence, no groaning metal, no whispers in the walls, no screams, just the hum of the ship stabilizing, and the soft sound of the princess breathing beside him. Marcus fell to one knee. Gasping, she caught him, held him gently. "You did it," she whispered. He looked at her, eyes wide. "What was your name?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "You already said it," and then the power came back. Lights turned green, systems rebooted, but nothing would ever be the same again. The ship was quiet again. No more screams, no more black mist crawling through the vents. The thing that had haunted them was gone, broken by a name spoken through human breath. And yet Marcus didn't feel peace, he felt empty. He stood on the deck, staring out the window into the stars. They looked the same, distant, cold, beautiful. But something inside him had changed, he could feel it. Something had been torn out of him when he spoke her true name, and he didn't know what was left behind. The princess stood beside him, silent as always, Her silver eyes reflected the stars and his tired face. "You feel it too," she said. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I told you," she whispered. "Breaking the bond would break a part of you too." He didn't answer. Just looked down at his hands. They were shaking. The ship's crew, what was left of them, had gathered in the main hall. Medical teams patched wounds, engineers restarted systems. They looked at Marcus with awe, respect, and fear. Some whispered that he wasn't human anymore. Others said he had spoken a god's name. Command received the emergency signal and responded fast. 2 warships arrived, clean, cold, and filled with men in black armor. They boarded without speaking and took full control. Marcus and the princess were separated immediately. She was led to a sealed room guarded by 4 soldiers. Marcus was taken to the officer's deck. There, a high-ranking admiral stood waiting. Gray uniform, metal shining, eyes sharp as knives. He didn't smile, didn't blink. "You did something impossible," the admiral said. "You killed something that couldn't be killed." Marcus stayed quiet. The admiral stepped closer, voice cold. "But you also brought it here." Marcus clenched his fists. "I didn't know," he said. "No," the admiral replied. "But she did. She's not human. She's a weapon." The words hit Marcus like a blade. "She saved us," he said. "She ended it." The admiral looked him in the eye. "She ended it with power we don't understand. That makes her dangerous." Then came the offer. The admiral leaned forward, voice low and firm. "Return with us. Marcus, you'll be given a medal, a new rank, a place on Earth's inner council. You'll be a hero, but she stays here, sealed, studied, maybe erased." Marcus felt cold all over. He had fought a war, seen death, faced shadows that wore his face, and now he was being told to forget the one person who stood beside him when everyone else ran. "She's not a thing," Marcus said. "She has a name." "That's exactly the problem," the admiral replied. "Names like hers aren't meant to exist." Marcus walked out without answering. He moved through the halls like a ghost. Crew members stared, but no one spoke to him. He found her in the sealed room. Sitting quietly, she looked up when he entered. "They offered you a reward," she said. He nodded. "And a future without me," she added. Again he nodded. She stood up slowly, her chains clinking. "I won't fight," she whispered. "I knew this moment would come. I was made to serve, not to stay." Marcus looked at her for a long time. He remembered her smile, her calm during the chaos, her glowing hand saving his life. He remembered the sound of her name as it left his lips and shook the stars. He stepped forward, unlocked her chains. "You're not a weapon," he said. "You're my choice." She looked at him, eyes wide. "No one ever chose me," she said. "Then let me be the first," he whispered. He took her hand, warm and real. She stared down at their fingers, gently wrapped together. A single tear fell from her eye, not from fear, not from pain, but from being seen. The admiral was waiting when Marcus returned to the officer deck. "I assume you've made your decision," he said. Marcus nodded. "I'll take the punishment," he replied. The admiral narrowed his eyes. "You're giving up your future for her?" "No," Marcus said. "I'm choosing my future." The admiral said nothing for a long moment. Then he stepped aside and let them pass. Marcus and the princess walked together through the corridor, past soldiers who didn't know whether to salute or step back. They reached the docking bay. One small transport ship remained. Marcus helped her climb aboard, then followed. As the ship launched into the stars, Earth grew smaller behind them. No medals, no welcome, no parades. Just 2 souls escaping into the unknown, but for the first time, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The stars stretched out like rivers of light. The transport ship moved silently through space, carrying only 2 passengers, a human soldier without a past, and an alien princess without a home. Marcus sat in the cockpit, hands on the controls, but his mind far away. The Earth was behind them now, shrinking into a tiny blue dot. The voice of command had gone silent. No one followed, no one cared to the world. Marcus had vanished. Beside him, she sat in silence, wrapped in the same old soldier's cloak. Her silver eyes were softer now. Not glowing, not sharp, just quiet. She looked out the window, watching the stars pass by for the first time. She looked like a person, not a prisoner. Not a weapon, just a girl who had seen too much. "You didn't have to come with me," Marcus said after a while. She didn't answer right away. Then she turned and whispered, "I wasn't following you." I was choosing to stay. He looked at her, confused. You were free, he said. You could have gone back to your people. They would not take me back, she said. I was made in a lab, not born in a palace. Even before the war, I was just an experiment. But with you, I felt human. Marcus looked down, remembering everything, the screams, the shadows, the fear, the name that shattered the monster. He had no medals, no command, no identity anymore. But when she said those words, I felt human. He finally understood what he had gained. They landed on a small moon near the edge of a forgotten galaxy. No cities, no satellites, just mountains, rivers, and skies that changed color with every hour. They built a home, small and quiet. Hidden among the rocks and trees, no soldiers came looking. No machines followed. They were ghosts now, and the universe had moved on. Seasons passed slowly. Marcus fixed old machines, grew strange alien plants, watched the stars every night. She read books, learned to cook human meals, even laughed sometimes. Their lives became something simple, something real. One day, as they sat by the river, she spoke again. Do you ever miss it? The war? He asked. No, she said. The purpose. Marcus thought for a long time. I used to think fighting gave me purpose, he said. But now I think peace is harder. War tells you what to do. But peace asks you who you are, she nodded slowly. And who are you? He smiled. I'm the man who chose you. She leaned against his shoulder, and for the first time since their world ended, they didn't feel broken anymore. Years passed. Legends grew. Some said a human soldier once spoke an alien god's name. Others whispered about a silver-eyed girl who could stop shadows with a single word. But no one ever found them again. Until one day a small ship landed on the moon. A young girl stepped out, no older than 10. Her eyes were silver, her hair black like Marcus's. She walked across the field where wildflowers grew. In her hand she held a worn-out book. On the first page, written in both human and alien language, were the words, "We chose each other when no one else would." She sat on the hill where 2 stones stood. Side by side, the names carved into them were simple. Marcus, Serenia. The girl smiled softly. I'm your daughter, she whispered, and the wind carried her words into the sky, up toward the stars where her parents once stared in silence, hoping for a future that now lived through her. Because the war had ended, but she stayed and love had begun.